All right, what is happening, guys? All right, I hope everybody can hear me all right. Uh, I know we got a lot of guys out there right now, highly excited to see this happening, so we're getting it started, all right. Our first stream for Touchdesigner visuals. Today we're going to kind of do some audio reactive visuals to the beat we've been working on. And yeah, so for that, I just started by over here. I soloed out, or well, I was thinking of what I want to use. I wasn't entirely sure because sometimes when I'm doing audio reactive stuff, Touchdesigner can get a little bit iffy the more that I do stuff, and I hadn't tried streaming while doing this, so I was not sure how all of that was going to work out. So I decided that I was just going to use the main track as like audio that we could listen to as for like reference, but primarily have the audio reactive parts driven by the kick and the snare, and then I would just be using some operators off of those as opposed to using the whole audio analysis tool and then messing around with that. But first thing I like to do when I'm making like a visual like this is I will bust out an info chop here, and then we're just going to check how long the length of this track is. So our length in frames is 10,020, so then we are just going to do 10,020, 10,020, and then close that out, grab all three of these, and then just tell it to be locked to timeline. So now, like if I want to jump to a specific, if I want to jump to a specific part of the song and see how something is gonna react, now I can use this little tiny timeline down here and be at a or I can jump over here by the beginning. And I may, since there's a lot of parts that don't have drums, I may use a little bit of info from this, but I don't want to use the whole audio analysis tool because I feel like that's going to be a lot of processing. And yeah, we're not going to do that. All right, so many options. What do we want to do for, or like, what do we want to do for a visual? That's really the question. Personally, I have my heart set on messing around with pops. But before we do that, why don't we just do like a warm up one where it maybe not be the entire or definitely not what we're gonna do for the visual for this, but just kind of use what we have here to do something interesting. So I'm going to turn down the volume of our audio playback to 0.5. Yeah, that's managed. That's not too loud at all. All right, and then put this back at the beginning. I'm not gonna really play the track a whole lot because it's gonna get really annoying. Probably just explain what I'm doing. So for our warm up here, we are gonna do some reaction diffusion. All right. So for that, reaction diffusion is kind of taking you have like a starting point and then you create a feedback loop that creates like these weird blobs and patterns and wacky kind of things, and usually it is pretty much done by blurring and displacing things, or blurring and displacing some pixels, and then using math to crank up the values, and then using math to then or limit those, and then like zigzag or loop clamp, just different ways, and then that feedback then create, or along with the blur, will then create these like weird patterns. I'll show you what I mean. So first, I'm just gonna start with a circle, a good old circle, and then we are just also going to Alt N to create a null, and then make that our background so we can look at what we're doing. Then I'm going to change this to our parent panel size, just so it's 19 or 1280 by 720 by 1280, 1280 by 720, one of the two. And then I'm just gonna bring down our circle a little bit. Then I don't want to use the actual circle, so I will get rid of it by just 0 on the alpha. I do want a slight white border, so we're gonna do that. And we're just gonna turn up. And then bam, we have a beautiful circle. Next, we're gonna create our feedback point. And then we are also gonna make all of this line up. Bam, okay. And then we are gonna create a blur. And then we're gonna do a blur out of that blur. But this time I'm gonna do a Luma blur, which uses like white and black values from an incoming texture in this bottom input to decide how everything is blurred. And why I did that is because I'm gonna grab a noise texture and then just change that output to just the noise. And then now we're using that noise to displace it, huh? Pretty cool, but I'm also gonna make the period a bit bigger for the time being. And then anything I'm considering, or when I'm just kind of doing Touchdesigner sketches on my own, a lot of times I will come up with like a full idea before I ever start adding the audio reactive part. And a lot of times when I'm doing that, I will color things and leave myself a little note. So we're gonna color that purple, and then we can go up. Which one is the notes? I always forget. Oh, I'm stupid. I always want to say it's a clipboard, and then I know it wasn't, and then I always forget that it's right there. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna say transform, so that I know, hey, I want to do the transform on this one. And then we're just gonna go here, and then we are going to subtract our first blur from our new blur. And as you can see, there's tiny bits there. Maybe we'll turn this down as opposed to up. You never know. And then we are going to add in a math. And we are just gonna go to this and then multiply it by 10. Finally, we'll add in our limit so we can, we're gonna zigzag, zigzag, and then take our null and drag it back to our feedback. And as you can see, nothing is happening. Why though? Do I need this to move, or do I need to move this? Oh, it would also help if I had it running. Okay, we're just gonna, so as you can see, this was what I was trying to do right here. This cool little pattern that's going on. And then we're just gonna, woo. Then also, we're not gonna use that null, we're gonna RGB key. And we'll look at that. So bam, that's already pretty cool. Then we can add in a keyboard in, so we can easily just go over the feedback here. And then every time we hit 1, it's gonna reset. So that's already pretty dang cool, but we can also And then just kind of try our different. So I do kind of like the big period there. If we, whoa. So big filter size over there makes cool circles there. And then let's add other things into our chain. We don't have to just stop there, because like if I add a transform, we'll change this to literal pixels and then -1. Oh darn, I really thought that was gonna do something cool. Well, for now we're just gonna, since this is our warm-up, we're just gonna not pay attention to our sound stuff. And then we can change this, pull it back a little bit, maybe mirror. And then this can be a repeat. I feel like we could do more here. Yeah, if we change that. Oh, and on the transform, we should probably tile it if we do like a repeat. Yeah, because then it'll go down and then right back into the top. Woo, that looks so cool. And then you can kind of see where that's blurring it. All right, and yeah, now this is pretty cool, I would say. Right here, this is already pretty dang cool. But what if we tried like a noise? That amplitude is only, yeah, it's just 1. And then we'll do like a time slice. Now it's just kind of chaos. Well, that doesn't feel like it's. Yeah, if we make it do it a lot slower, that might be cooler. And then yeah, see, it's like a diffusing out kind of like weird reaction. And then that'll be cool because this will like pull it in different directions. And then maybe like a okay, so this, we grab this displace here. And then we're just gonna grab the original feedback and put that into a slope. I don't know if that's actually gonna do anything. Okay, yeah, it does. And then put that into our displace. Whoa, now that's actually kind of cool looking. Not really what we, well, now it's gone because it doesn't displace into that. Let's try like making it a really tiny displace. A really just tiny displace. Wait. Okay, so now it's starting to come in. Whoa, now that's cool. And then back to 0. Ooh, we could have some like flick up to like 1 every period there, like so often. No, we'll probably just get rid of the displace. Displace is not it. Actually, this may be a cool starting spot for what we're doing. So if we're gonna do that, I'm thinking maybe like the kick can reset the feedback, but then we may want to turn up the math on this so that it goes even faster. Yeah, we can try connecting it. So we're gonna use an analyze on this. We're also gonna make this mono. Oh, I want this to only be. Maybe. Okay, so I actually haven't done it this way before, but this visual is looking really cool to start with, at least. Okay. Okay, maybe we will need an analyze, because my thinking here is I need it to just jump to 1. Yeah, bam. And this is going to be off when, well, let's. Okay, maybe an envelope. I just need something that like bounces real quick whenever it comes on. Well, no, because that's samples right there. Quite the predicament I find myself in. If only I spent more time not using the audio analysis tool and doing this part myself, I may be having a better time. Okay, we're definitely using analyze, and it's definitely going to be one of these. This is really strange. Normally, I feel like I know exactly what to do. What that moment is not now. Okay, so. Can I disconnect the speed? No, but then again, why would I want to? That doesn't make sense. Okay, well, we're just gonna do the opposite of what I was gonna do. We're gonna grab, because life is meaningless, we're just gonna grab 2 audio analyses and then just use only the kick and the snare function on each one, and then just pretend that this in some way is better than my initial plan. It's not. We're not going to use that. We're going to use a select. Okay, we're focusing on the mission. All right, we're going to use a select, and then we're going to grab just the kick, copy, paste. We're going to grab just the snare. Oh, well, that didn't work. Disconnect, okay. Perfect. We are already on the road to greatness. And with perfect timing, because our entire screen is almost nothingness. Nothing important, that is. So let's just go ahead and alt end this first one. Alright, I also need to make it recognize the snare. Alright, so I have this speed that's gonna like start going up every time the snare hits, but I'm also gonna add this lag that has no uptime, but then like kind of down, so that the speed keeps going for a second and slowing down. Now, I think I'm going to use that speed to drive our noise back here. Wow. Oh, but okay. When we start over, we gotta pulse the feedback. Okay, but if I do the math too much, then it doesn't. We'll go back to 75. I'm probably going to get rid of this transform. Well, I'm going to get rid of this. On the transform, though, instead of moving these, I'm thinking, what if we ever so slightly just bring up the scale? Alright, so I'm also going to make the snare affect like the blur size here. So like going from 6 to like 13, I think it was. Okay, maybe it goes from 20 to 6, so it's big to small, and then we'll go to that blur. That's already a pretty cool circle that's fucking doing its thing right there. I think, personally, that it's cool, but why does it shouldn't disappear ever. Okay, so let's turn this off. Okay, we'll put this back on the... Okay, yeah, I think this looks really cool now that all the stuff isn't disappearing every time. Now let's start messing with this to do something cool, something cool for the background. So we have that, and we'll just set over here. This is our foreground, and we'll use a select. And we'll use that to take this guy here, and we're going to probably be using feedback loops, so I'm going to put that as a 32-bit float. All right. So yeah, my thinking is we can do like flashy things like it was with the kick and snare, or it was doing with those. And for that, what we could probably do is I'll create nothing yet. This is not going to be too overly complicated looking, really. My idea is just having several different like backgrounds made out of the foreground, and then using a switch that can like go off every time one of the drums goes off, and then that'll create like motion going around. And then I'm thinking I will use the image filter RGBA delay. Yeah, this guy here. If I plug him in there, it like since this is white, all the values are like a white foreground color. Everything is one across the board, R, G, and B. So when I use the RGB delay, it'll delay by a different frame, or each channel by a different amount of frames. So blue is delayed by 5 frames, green is delayed by 10, and then red is delayed by 15, which then gives you that kind of chromatic aberration look to it. So we'll definitely use that. I think that's going to be cool. But first, we're just going to create a few basic backgrounds. And for that, I mean stuff like just grab a transform here. Actually, we're going to keep looking at this one. And I'm going to turn the volume way down on that, just so I can talk still. And it's not dead silent when I'm not. Okay, so for this, I'm thinking we can do like a tiled, if I do like a repeat, we could just tile it 4 times, so... Or maybe that's too... Yeah. And really, I could probably get away with doing it with all transforms, because I have that one. I can do another one where maybe I increase the scale. And then we'll create our switch here. Really increase the scale. Insert a blur on that one. And then what other cool ideas can we think of? Just real, not necessarily cool, but like quick kind of ideas. What if I like, or not even that. What if I displaced one by the other? Okay, so displacing these two by each other just does not do anything. That was kind of useless. All right. But it could be cool to use a composite and see what we can come up with the two. That would be cool. So let's throw these two in. And then we're just gonna start. That is pretty cool. But maybe like add something to them so they're a little bit different. Or like different from their source material. Starting point. Ooh, maybe I'll mirror it. Just in a weird direction. Ooh, I'll have that spinning constantly. Maybe do the same, but in the opposite direction for this other one. And then it can take that guy's spot. Bam. And then we need something for the background that isn't just black. And I need to get rid of the... Well, no, the black can stay technically on this one. I don't know why it's doing... I don't know why it has alpha, or like it does the alpha for that one. Like, I think the exclude is cool. I guess I'll just have to get over it. I mean, really, I could change it. Okay, so just because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with this yet, we're gonna do the long complicate, or well, we're just gonna get rid of that black background. And do that, we're just gonna threshold it, turn it down really low. And then do a multiply. Bam. Now we have that same background without the black, even though the background is black because of our RGB key that we're plugged into. But the idea is I'm going to change it with something else. I want to do one more cool background, so let's do a feedback loop, because I turned that into a 32-bit float, so might as well, right? Am I right? So we're gonna do, wouldn't it be funny to do another reaction diffusion within our reaction diffusion? Now that is really cool. See, like if we press our, if we try our luck, we could end up with like the audio react, like if we were making this into just a music video, we just gotta wait till our visual like has something like this going on in the background. Beautiful. It would be beautiful. But yeah, feedback loop. No, let's do. Let's displace by yet again something else. Oh wait, no, we already established that displace doesn't really work well when everything's all white. Let's use something out of the box, something wacky. Nobody expects us to emboss. I sure didn't until the last second. It does look kind of cool though, the emboss. But we'll use it with our slope. I'm not sure how we're gonna use these two together yet, but they look kind of similar to me. And then we're gonna plug them into a composite. And this one's gonna do a difference too. And then we're gonna make one Mr. Wide and one Mr. Tall. Okay, so this one's gonna be Mr. Tall right here. Oh wait, no, he's gonna be Mr. Wide. I always feel like height should go first on this, but it is not, so that's fine. Now this one's gonna be Mr. Tall. Mr. Tall. Bam, that's kind of a cool shape. Well, oh, well, that's just because it grows way too big. Okay, so Mr. Wide and Mr. Tall have to, they have to work their way there. That didn't work either. So definitely maybe not emboss and slope. Whoa. I mean, that's doing something now. But with it being all one color, it's not really a helpful something. Okay, so feedback loop is just not it. Executive decision on that one. But we will do one more massive like transform, but we're gonna make it Marcy, better behave. Alright, so we're gonna throw down a transform. And we're gonna make it bigger. Marcy. You wanna come here? Come here. Here you go, baby. You're on my headphones. Well. Parting is such sweet sorrow. You out there chilling, aren't you? Okay, back on this, sorry. Yeah, I think that's probably as far as I'm really gonna go with those. But now we need to make the backgrounds jump around. So we're gonna grab a math here. Plug both of these guys in. And then we're gonna tell this to combine our chops with an add. So whenever one of them goes up, it goes up. Then as we can see, we have 0 through 3 as our number of switches. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna do a count, and then we're gonna tell it to loop from 0 to 3, and that on a null. This one could be unactive, and we'll just grab that switch. And then now the background is cool being white, because that works really well with the art, or the background circle being white. Obviously the background's black right now, but using the using it as white for that makes it good for the RGB delay. But we can now change our foreground color. So let's go create a composite here. Swap this to under. Alrighty, this is a pretty legitimate visualizer, I would say. But yeah, so idea is we could do some colorful for the foreground if we wanted. I will probably zoom it in some. And then maybe also blur the background slightly. All right, now this is the hard part. What do we want the actual background to look like that all this is over? Hmm. Let me check my hard drive here, see if I have anything cool that I could use visually. Huh. All right. So this is like just a really kind of off the wall idea, I guess. So I was checking my hard drive to see what kind of like assets, for lack of better words, I can mess with. And I made this little video here a while back of like a test. It's not even in the right aspect ratio, but I think it would be kind of fun to like use it for just some, or like mangle it into just a background for what we're doing. So for that, let's start getting to work. We are gonna first, I guess, put it into a fit top, and then we'll do a resolution like the rest of it, and then we can do fill. Bam, there it is already. And then we'll plug it into a null, and then just throw that into our project on the back. Alright, first thing is everything is now like invisible because of this, and I'm already feeling like I made a mistake. But that's besides the point. Let's try blurring it a ton. That's only helped me so far. That's what's up. Now that is a cool visual. We'll just plug this into an out real quick. Oh, we gotta turn up. If we're gonna listen to this, we'll give this a good, solid listen through. But before we do that, I'm thinking we're gonna take this. I guess we can play it while we're doing this part. We're gonna grab another select, set this like back here. Grab our final version of that. Then we are gonna grab a limit. Not a limit, a level. And then with that level, I'm going to invert the image. So as you can see, there's those black spots there. Turn up the contrast, make it very dark. And then getting tired. I rarely use these normally, but I've been using them a ton for this project. Blur, we're just gonna turn up the blur a little bit. Bring that over. And then now we can do a Luma blur. But yeah, sorry. So what I did there was I in the Luma blur, wherever it is white, it's gonna blur. Wherever it's black, it's not gonna blur. So I took that image, I inverted it, and then blurred it a little bit so like the edges kind of feather out, and then use that to decide what in this image is gonna be blurred. And really, I should actually probably take that and put that over here. So we're just gonna drag these, and I felt smart. Now I don't. Okay. There we go. Bam, there we go. Bam, that's looking like a cool visual, I would say. Now, I'm gonna make a little, we're gonna make a little visual, like a flashing loading bar thing, I guess, for where the top here. I think that would be cool. And so that's a pretty simple one. We can do that by, we have our timeline. So we're gonna create a timeline chop. And so we want our frames and then frame or end, right? Yeah, so we have those, and then if we put that into a math, we can then just divide. And so we're gonna go from 0 to 1, the length of this. So then we can just put that down. Where are we gonna add this? We're gonna add it way over here. So we're just gonna drag this guy and bring it with us. And so for that we want a rectangle. Make that our parent panel size. Justify left. And we want to justify horizontally left so that when we change this, it's gonna go like that. And it actually may be easy just to adjust the size of this rectangle after the fact now. And then this is going to be at the bottom. This one is just going to be fully across the bottom, and there's a point for that. We're going to do a border width, not on that one. We're going to do border on this one, and then 0, 0, 0. Oh wait, sorry. I just needed to do alpha 0. And then what color, chat, should we make our play bar? That's a good option. Those are some really good options, guys. Really good options. You're right, though. We should always go with purple. That's a good looking purple. Oh, wait. Good choice, chat. Always great ones. And then I also sometimes I'll take this and I'll put it into a noise. And so on that we're gonna go to output, input times noise, alpha noise. alpha 0. And then yeah, there we go. That feels right. That way, kind of like, you'll see in a second, you'll see. Transform. Ooh, we'll... There we go. All right, and then we can put these guys together. And then this is probably the best way to do it. As we are close to the end of this visual, you can see my ability to organize is going down the drain. And then we're gonna unplug from that, and look at that. Why, hello there, Moog. Little Miss Moog, got anything to say? No? Okay. Don't go up on Daddy's computer, please. I love you, baby. Are you having a good time? Yeah. Alright, Daddy's almost done. Will you let me finish this and then we'll play? Alright, we're gonna squash this a little bit. And then raise it up. Alright, the loading bar is kind of a good idea, but I'm just not feeling it for this track, so we're just gonna get rid of it. Cool in theory, not very good in practice. But alright, let's give this, guys, let's give this a final listen through and enjoy our really cool visual that we all made together. I'll turn up our audio back to its normal volume. Excellent work, guys. That's what I'm talking about. A phenomenal, phenomenal job, as always. Chat. All right, and then we're just gonna save this to a folder somewhere. Well, bam. All right. So, yeah, that was the visual that we put together. Thank you all for coming out. It's been a great time. If I could do it over again, I would have done a pops experiment as opposed to starting this with reaction diffusion. Mainly because I feel like I'm better with pops right now. But yes, we'll play. All right, guys. Well,